I guess as a disclaimer, I think sometimes one of the temptations is, oh man, like, I don't want to sound boring, I would like to have a fantastic kind of conversion story, something dramatic like St. Paul. But I think for a lot of people, I think their conversion or, whatever vocation they're called to happens in rather ordinary circumstances. There are definitely some pivotal moments in my life. When I was involved in youth ministry, and truly the Lord's, hand was in everything, even going to Cal Poly Pomona, commuting there, being able to stay local, be involved in youth ministry, to stay close where I would still be able to go to daily mass at my home parish where I grew up, go to regular confession. All those things had workings in my heart. But one of the first kind of pivotal moments was when one day after youth ministry in the parking lot, one of the youth ministers whom I was working with, suggested I pray a rosary novena. And so I wasn't sure what that really was. I knew what a rosary was and how to pray one, but I didn't know what a novena was. And so this particular one was a 54-day novena. And so you would pray 27 days in petition and then the second 27 days in thanksgiving, whether you receive it or not, whatever your petition is. And so I prayed that, and I prayed for my vocation, not really understanding the implications of that. And so I would go, it's actually a group of us that would kind of pray together we had a adoration chapel that was open all night. And so we would gather together to pray the novena. Everyone had their own petitions. But for myself, praying that, I prayed it every day with those guys. And on the morning of the 55th day, the first thought that crossed my mind was priesthood. And I heard it as clear as day. But of course, my first reaction was, no way. Actually, with some inappropriate words too. But basically, I said, no, God, I think, and Blessed Mother, I think you're just tripping. I think you're going crazy. I'm not called to that. And so I shut it out for, like the next 5 years or so. During that time, I was still involved in youth ministry, teaching confirmation, going to mass all the time, daily mass and regular confession. And, I would work with a lot of kids and always talk to them about God's love, for example, or God's will for us and the purpose of our lives. And I would always encourage them to stay open to the will of God, because the one who made us will probably know us best. However, I knew deep down inside I wasn't quite living that way, like authentically, I guess, because I was saying, well, God, that's great that you're calling me to this, but I think I know what's best for me. So kind of trying to place my own will above the will of the Lord. And so eventually, when I transferred to a school that I wanted to go to, went to USC. So a lot of things were kind of lined up the way that I thought would bring about happiness, peace, joy. To a certain extent, I did have those. I was in a great relationship at the time too, Catholic girl, but I still knew something inside was not quite there. I needed to explore that a little bit more, to explore that and discern that vocation. And so as I got closer to graduating, I broke up, and then I dedicated more time to discerning with the help of a priest, and then I graduated SC. And then a year later, I entered seminary.